Cheers,
Let's get ready to rumble!
What a performance that was.
All right, great viewers out there. It's time for Sportsville. My name is George Aloa. We are set to give you the best of sports on TV, and my colleagues are here: Tony Wokomo Bani and baby of the house, Oluchi Tobex. Trust us, it's a loaded package as usual. We'll take a look at the Super Eagles and the Battle of Sfax. After we won in Uyo, we went to Sfax, saw and conquered out there in Tunisia. We'll be doing an analysis of that on the show today. And then the big one when you talk about athletics, is the one that's coming up February 2nd in Lagos. Talk about the Lagos City Marathon. And one man that has said he's going to run is the number one man in Lagos State, Akinwumi Ambode. So that tells you what the way Lagos is planning for that marathon race. All that for you on the show. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with the show. But if you have just joined us, you've not missed anything yet, not even the top news that you have missed. After the break, we'll come back and then I'll introduce my guests.
That's actually a conversion kick.
My name is Aziz Ladiko and I'm captain of Nigerian national team Black Stallions and Kari Rugby Football Club. This is the game of rugby.
All right, welcome back. It is Sportsville, and we're just kickstarting the show proper now. Let me start by welcoming baby of the house, Oluchi Tobechuku. Oluchi, welcome to Sportsville.
Thank you so much, George. It's a pleasure to.
And a pleasure with what we saw Eagles perform in Sfax.
Yes, it was a much-needed victory, confidence, back in the minds of Nigerians and also Janet Raw.
All right, on that victorious note, let me welcome Tony Wokoma Ubani.
Georgia, thank you so much, and it's my first time of seeing you since you came back from London, and it's good to see you and good to hand over the baton back to you.
Thank you very much, Tony. I saw you performing Fire and All Cylinders when I was in London, and it was good watching you from afar.
That's lovely, George.
All right, as usual, Tony, let's start with top news because we just give you everything around the world of sports on this show. Let's tell you that the 5th Zainab Saleh International Female Open Karate Championship will take place in Lagos from October 25 to 28. That will be coming up at the Teslim Balogun Stadium. The championship is the only female-focused karate tournament in West Africa, and it's receiving players from across the region. Players will be coming from Republic of Benin, Togo, and Ghana. So it's going to be top-notch karate championship at the Teslim Balogun Stadium from October 25 to 28. I think, Oluchi, the first female-focused karate championship is a good one.
It's a very laudable tournament coming up. I don't want to skip that base, but it's also an opportunity for the girl child, especially here in Nigeria, to make them pick interest in sports, not just only football and other sports, but also in sports like karate.
Yes, a sport like karate, I'm happy that it is getting some good exposure now. The first female tournament will be taking place at the Teslim Balogun Stadium. Then away from karate, we'll talk about keeping fit. And when you talk about keeping fit, one organization that has taken it to the next level is Adron Homes. They organized the Adron Games at the Yaba College of Technology, three-day event it was, and ambassador of the show talk about Samson Siasia was there alongside other ex-internationals, and it was 3 days of fun. And the group managing director Oba Adetola Emmanuel King of Adron Home speaks on the gains of that event.
It has created awareness for well-being and healthy living, for physical fitness, because like even myself, I've jogged around the field, I've done some of those exercises and I felt better. When I woke up this morning, it's like, wow, I should continue doing this every day. And that is what happened to all my staff.
All right, that was Oba Emmanuel King talking about the Adron Games there. And away from the Adron Games, let's talk about University Games. This time we're talking of at the world level. Last week here we talked told you that University of Port Harcourt is preparing for WAUG, West African University Games. But at the world level, the Director General of International Sports Federation Union, ISFU, Dr. Audrey Stukalov, yes, this is a Russian, Stukalov, he came to Nigeria alongside some other delegates of ISFU. They are in Lagos to assess the preparedness of Africa to be part of the World Soccer League for university students, and that's an interesting one to talk about a league taking place now. That was cemented during the World Cup in Russia. That was when FIFA endorsed this World University League, and then they will be organizing a workshop today, and the theme of that workshop, as we speak now, that workshop is going on in Lagos, breeding student football champions, techniques and strategies to create world-class student footballers. That's a good one, and FIFA, I must tell you, has endorsed International Students Football Union League. Tony, I think FIFA is taking university football to the next level.
George, I think that in all aspects, football has to be spread, to all the nooks and crannies of the world. And indeed, the joy people derive when they watch football. And besides the World Cup, the Champions League, the Euro Cup, the African Cup of Nations, and FIFA is trying as much as possible to take it closer to the people, for the good of the game.
Okay, for the good of the game, and the man that is driving this at the Nigerian level is Professor Shehu Omotayo. You know him; he's a renowned professor of the University of Lagos. And still away from football now, we're talking about university football. Away from that, let's take you to athletics. 100-meter sprinter Sheye Ogunlewe, you know him, son of our former minister, says it's difficult and challenging representing Nigeria as an athlete at international events. The 27-year-old who represented the country at Rio 2016 Olympics men event says it's pretty difficult running for the country. We know that it's difficult. Let's hear from the horse's mouth. We spoke with Shea.
It's pretty challenging, but I'm very passionate about my country, my family name, but it's very difficult, I won't lie to you. And hopefully in the long run, Nigerian government can start, even if it's not me, the guys that are coming, hopefully they'll be able to help them in order to achieve what they want to achieve.
Okay, that was Sheye Ogunlewe there speaking to us on the challenges he's facing representing Nigeria. And to round up top news, let's tell you that the People's Elephant, Enyimba, they will be jetting out of the country tomorrow, very early tomorrow morning, aboard Air Maroc for the return leg of the game against Raja Casablanca. They lost the first leg 0-1 at their Aba fortress. Well, Enyimba is still looking good. They said they are sure that they will pick the ticket because this is not the first time they will face this kind of challenge, and they survived it. Remember when they won the cup, the big one, the Monday Spain CAF Champions League in 2003, they lost to Esperance at Aba and went to Tunisia and got it right. We hope that Enyimba will get it right against Raja on Monday. On Wednesday, actually, Tony.
Yeah, George, and I think it has always been that spirit, the Spartan spirit of Enyimba, like you did mention, from the African Champions League. We were all there, we saw them. So many Nigerians had given up hope. But I know, yes, against Esperance.
But only do Enyimba have the same quality now?
It's not just about, it's the name. Sometimes, the name where you belong.
Yes.
When you enter into a place, you become, the environment changes you. And for them to have gotten this far, I think that they have that same spirit. And in them, George, you never say never when it comes to football, and indeed, to the Elephants of Aba.
Okay, the Elephants of Aba will wager the best of luck, and to motivate the team, Abia State Governor Kezie Pazu has paid the players all the bonuses that are being owed them. They are fired up for the return leg against Raja Casablanca and in Rabat. Wishing Enyimba the best of luck. That's it on top news. Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll continue with the show. I hope you are enjoying Sportsville. All right, welcome back to the show. Let's start with athletics now. Like we told you, the Lagos State government is planning big for the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon. That will be coming up February 2nd in Lagos. It is something that Lagos State wants to use to showcase the city as they've always done in the last 3 years. And one man that he said is going to run this time is the governor of Lagos State, Akinwumi Ambode. He wasn't there in the last 2 editions, but he said, mark my words, I will run on February 2nd, but the whole idea is not to win any prize but to participate. And talking about participation, 150,000 runners are expected in Lagos. Tony, I think that is massive.
George, indeed, it's a very massive thing, and I think from inception, the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon has already caught fire, like they say, and what they are targeting the silver label. It's really been very, very. The organization itself has really been very, 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 very audacious, and it has placed Nigeria and indeed Lagos, on a global level. So almost everything, those that organize the marathon, has really come to embrace this. When you talk about marathon, talk about the Boston Marathon, the New York, and all the marathons that everybody know in the world, you cannot do without mentioning the Lagos Access Bank Lagos City Marathon. I think it's one of the legacies that Governor Ambode is leaving behind, as we sojourn in life, and he also embraces other challenges.
Okay, Oluchi, even the way Lagos State is planning, they are taking marathon generally to the next level. They say they are going to build a marathon village at Teslim Balogun Stadium so that they will coordinate all the marathon races in Lagos. They want to take it to all the divisions, Ekpe, Badagry and all that, and even the one that Tony is packaging, the media marathon, which I hope you will run on December 1, I guess. I hope you are preparing for the marathon race. I'm
not going to run. I'm a realist person.
I
believe in reality. I'm not prepared for that, and I just want to say that
after not doing well at the Swan Cup.
No, I did participate. I played. Is the goalkeeper. I don't want to talk about Matthew here. After conceding 10 goals, but we forge ahead for a good performance in the next edition. For the marathon, I think it's a good one coming from the Lagos State government. I believe sports, it should be spread evenly. No special attention should be given to a particular sport. And I also believe that we do not just cede it to other parts of Africa, that they are they are the authorities in a particular sport. Once you focus that you're going to do well, you start laying down foundations to bring the best out of all these people. And we have a state like Plateau State. We have the kind of people that, if given the opportunity and motivated and trainings like that, we can churn out very good marathon runners from this part of the country. So this coming from Lagos, even if you are based in Lagos, and you have a state that is particular about what you do, I'm sure we're going to get the best out of all of them.
Okay, let's hope we'll get the best, but what is the hope that one day that a Nigerian will win it? Because it is the foreigner that come here to take all the dollars.
You do not say no to everything like that in life. I must tell you, those gone were those days that even in women's football, we used to think that some countries will not come near us, but now they are rubbing shoulders with us. Just give it your maximum shot. You have dedicated athletes that are interested in this, and I can tell you, it might not be our time now. Maybe in the next generation to come, we'll be doing well in such sports.
Okay, we hope that in the time to come, we'll catch up with the Kenyans and the Ethiopians who will come here and pocket the $50,000 that will be up for grab, both in the male and female categories. But the good thing that Lagos State government said is that it is not all about winning, it's all about participation. And even the chairman, the president of AFN, Engineer Guzo, said Nigeria may be bidding for the World Athletics Championship. He disclosed that at that media party that we had at Alausa. Tony, do you see Nigeria standing a chance of winning that bid?
Just
after what we did in Asaba.
Yeah, like we did say, this is sports, and the important thing is that the administrators, at the international level, are also trying as much as possible, to take it to the roots, take it to, some other places that it never held. As in, nobody ever believed that the World Cup could come to Africa. And of course, when it came, Africa did the best of it, and of course, eclipsed the other, former hosts.
South Africa hosted.
And I think too that it's a challenge. Guzo has told us that it's coming to Nigeria, and if they support it wholeheartedly, I think that anytime that Nigeria, puts itself into, George, they put their mind and body into it.
Okay, we hope now that the IAAF said the World Cup is coming to Africa, Nigeria is in the race alongside South Africa and Kenya. At the end of the day, if it comes to Nigeria, that will be wonderful. At least we showed what we can do with the African Championship that took place in Asaba. Everybody was happy with Nigeria's hosting. Well, away from athletics now, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Super Eagles and the Battle of Sfax. I hope you enjoy Sportsville. All right, welcome back. I hope you're enjoying Sportsville. We are now on part 2 of the show, and we're talking about Eagles and the AFCON qualifiers. We've seen the 2 games, back-to-back games against Libya, and we picked the 6 points. That was Rua's target. He said he will go for the 6 points, but if the 6 points were not forthcoming, he will settle for 4. But at the end of the day, courtesy of those fantastic performances on the part of our players, especially from a player that so many Nigerians wrote off after the World Cup, Odion Igalo, we were able to get the 6 points. On that Odion's note, gentlemen, he scored a hat-trick in Uyo and went to Sfax to go and score a brace. I think that was wonderful, and we're almost going to settle for a draw with that late rally by the Libyans before Odion's masterpiece gave us the match.
Yes, I think it was a very good one for him. When you come out with a good performance, you kind of silence the insults and criticisms you get from people.
I don't think those were insults, criticism.
When you get a threat, notes or people threatening your family is even more than insults, because of the way you've been playing. But I must tell you that he was able to get 6 goals in 3 matches. Don't forget he scored 1 against Seychelles, and I must tell you that people are impressed with him. Like I said earlier, an individual that has scored 20 goals in the Chinese league, it's a big indicator that the national team coach shouldn't ignore him. But the issue I've always had with him is that, okay, whenever you try and replicate your performance in the national team, which he wasn't able to do in the past, but now he's done that. And I must say that consistency is the watchword when it comes to football. You're as good as your last game, and he's been so far consistent.
So he has to be consistent.
And I was very impressed with the way he played. And on a general note, even Janet Raw was diplomatic in the points he wanted. He promised 4 points, and he was able to get 6 points. But the way the Libyans rallied round to even score 2 goals is also a good thing, because it will put our coach on his toes. He's been able to see 1 or 2 lapses in the team, which I hope he will correct.
Okay, we hope they correct those lapses, especially in the big one against South Africa at the FNB Stadium on November 16. But talking about the lapses in the team, Tony, we didn't see Tyrone Ebuehi, we didn't see Shehu Abdullahi in the game against Sfax. We saw Olaina and another newcomer, the fullbacks, and even Trucks Ekong, the Yubo War, they weren't so solid. I think our defense was shaky in that game.
Absolutely, and the thing is that all of us are still consumed, with the joy of victory. Picking up all the points, from loquacious Libya, that gave so many people a lot of temperatures with their boasting. They are going to do this to Nigeria, they are going to do this.
Yeah, after going 5 games unbeaten.
Like they say, the bird that promised to, bring down the Iroko tree, but on that day, their coach abandoned them because of payment, and then the walls came crumbling down. George, I think it's a wake-up call for Nigerians. While we are celebrating, we should also look into those other grey areas. And Ozoho has been doing well, but then the Libyan match equally showed that there are a lot of things that he has to do. Peter Rufai has really been very consistent in saying that Ozoho does not have what it takes, the mind. And when a goalkeeper, a legend of a sort, for Nigeria, continues to talk about that, I think we should listen to him. I saw Ozoho against Libya, and some of the performances that he saw, that were heartbreaking. Against any other top team, very sharp attackers. And such silly mistakes, will really put us in danger.
And those that we have on the bench, I'm worried the more, because Akpeyi was the one that was imposed when we lost to South Africa 2-0, and then Ikechukwu Ezenwa is being benched in his team. So that means that even if Uzoho is injured, we'll be in real trouble.
That's it, and I think that Raw and Aloyago, should try as much as possible, to bring out the best in Uzoho. And
or throw this goalkeeping
yes,
open,
perhaps Ezenwa has really been, but putting him on the bench psychologically too could as well weigh him down. When you put somebody so much on the bench, that means you have beginning to lose confidence.
But our goalkeeper choices isn't limited to these 3 persons.
Exactly. We've seen Egiba in the continent, and we have seen the Theophilus Afolokai.
We have very good players, goalkeepers, that can do well in between the sticks. I think that what Janet Raw went for wasn't in terms of if Uzo was that a good goalkeeper. He just saw potentials in him. He has a good height, and these are one of the 2 things that people look out for in a goalkeeper, because this is an individual that when you look at it, he has only kept 3 times senior wise for his clubs. I think 3 times for Deportivo and 1 senior cap. So what does he have in terms of achievement to keep for his national team? He went to Russia. He was that lucky because if you look at it, he wasn't really tested. I'm happy that he played this match in Libya. He's been able to show his inadequacy, especially on the ground, the way he spills ball and some little elementary mistakes that he makes. But I can also say that if Raw, will just make up his mind and believe that something good also comes out from the MPFL, it will get, very good goalkeepers in our league. Apart from Enyimba's my fellow club that came to being because they are playing in the continent, there are good goalkeepers in the league. Nasarawa United, they also have a very good young goalkeeper. If age is the problem, that we don't want, goalkeepers that are up to 30, you can also get them. Akpe is doing well in his club side in South Africa. His bane is that he's just been exposed to a whole mighty blunders when it comes to
national team.
I don't think there's so much blame, being heaped on the doors of Raw. As in, we have a goalkeeper trainer. He stays in Nigeria. He's a Nigerian. He started from Nigeria. And I think if there is any blame, the blame should go to Aloyago. Aloyago should be the one that is responsible for that.
But I also feel
he should go and watch matches. Good a thing that Raw is coming to watch the cup final, but it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop there. When we blame Raw, it's Raw. It's at the head of.
But it has the final say. You won't tell me that it was Aloyago that pinpointed Uzoho Francis in the first place. It wasn't him.
It doesn't matter.
It wasn't him.
What is the position of Aloyago? Are you saying that if Aloyago identifies a good goalkeeper in Nigeria and of course can tell their, their boss that there will not be a trial for him?
Gentlemen, I hope we'll not be punished with this goalkeeper till one day because we've been lucky with it. But let's leave the goalkeeping area. We've been able to see that. Let's come to the attack. Apart from Odion Igalo, we saw a Samuel Kalu who has equally done well.
Yeah, we saw Samuel Kalu who came and of course just proved that he too can also just take all the chances that he could get. George, I think the attack is, getting very, very effective.
Okay.
We saw
Iwobi doing
we
very
saw
well,
Iwobi, and
passes, yes.
Of course I remember what Christian Chukwu said about him. That he called Iwobi that you have seen the solution, of the attacking midfield, and indeed Iwobi has really, been very ferocious and he's not selfish. If you look at the passes that he has been doing, and that was a very wonderful thing.
Okay.
And before Oluchi comes in, Odion Igalo, so many people crucified him, and I think they were all very, very genuine, attacks on him. He has only been able to prove people wrong, and one thing about him is that he has never been consistent. He could have done, these fantastic things that he has done. That FIFA has listed him in the FIFA 19 team now, and the next time you'll see him, fumbling. But like Oluchi said, in Nigeria, we should not take things too far. Threatening his family.
Well, that wasn't the best.
Taking things too far for him.
And then, Oluchi, just before we leave this segment now, let's talk about the midfield. Do you think we are missing the 2 big boys, Mikel and Oge Yonazi, in that midfield?
Well, for me, The national team, like I will always say, is not a rehabilitation center. Onazi has not been, up form, doing very well, and it is time you start experimenting with players that you think will fill up the gap. Mikel is not going to play for us forever. You look at it in the next World Cup, he shouldn't be in the party. So Etebo, Ndidi, offensive players they've been able to do their best, but I think they need to do more. Etebo has come out to say he was really fatigued in that particular match, but I know with the kind of players that we have, looking at their age, this is a team that one will be very proud of in the future.
Okay, we're proud of the Eagles, and they did us proud. We look forward to the November 16 game against South Africa. That is going to be a hell of a clash because South Africa beat us here. We should be going for a revenge and get that victory so that with one game to spare, we would have landed in Cameroon for the Nations Cup, just like we did with one game to spare going to the World Cup. I hope you are still enjoying Sportsville. Let's take another break now. We'll come back. We'll give you upcoming events. Don't go away. All right, welcome back. We're coasting home now. Let's quickly give you upcoming events before we call it a day. Let's start with October 22 to 28. The Amateur Wrestling Championship will be taking place in Hungary, and Nigerians will be featuring in that. We wish our wrestlers the very best of luck. Trust our wrestlers. When they go out there, they will perform wonders. Then October 23, the AT Cup Women's Final will be taking place in at the Samson Siasia Stadium in Bayelsa. That will be the first national competition that will be taking place in Bayelsa State. Then October 24, the AT Cup Men's Final will be taking place at the Samson Stephen Keshi Stadium in Asaba, Delta State. We saw that stadium host Athletics Championship this time. We want to see them host Nigeria's most prestigious cup final. That will be Rangers up against Kano Pillars. Then October 24, the CAF Confederation Cup semi-final second leg, Raja Casablanca against Enyimba will be taking place in Rabat, Morocco. Enyimba will be leaving our shores tomorrow. We wish Enyimba the best of luck. Then October 24, the 2018 Amputee World Cup will be taking place in Mexico, and Nigeria will equally be part of that. October 28, the Mexico Grand Prix will be taking place in Mexico, and then October 23 to 26, MBBF will be organizing a refresher course for basketball referees in Lagos. I hope you follow all those in the world of sports. That's the show, but let me say a big thank you to Baby of the House, Oluchi Tobechuku.
Thank you so much, George. It's a pleasure to be here, and hopefully, I will be in Bayelsa to see what happens in the ITO Women's Final. All
right, thank you, Oluchi Tobechuku, and then Tony, thank you for coming to Sportsville. Oluchi said she's going to Samson Siasia Stadium. Will you be in Asaba?
I'll be at Stephen Keshi's stadium in Asaba. Since Oluchi is going to Bayelsa, we are going to Delta, which is her state. And if possible, maybe she will just come and join us so that she can also take us to, the places you like going to.
Okay. I hope she will take us to all those corners of Asaba where we can have fun and really enjoy ourselves before the big one between Kano Pillars and Rangers at your Cup final October 24. Well, that's the show. I hope you enjoyed Sportsville today. See you next week. Bye-bye and God bless.